Hello everyone, this is Mr. Jackson, and today I wanted to provide you all with a quick demonstration video for how you'll go about completing our Cracking the Code scavenger hunt. This is an activity that's open to all students and all teachers here at Warren Central. If you choose to participate, I think you'll have a fun time in doing so. And there will be prizes given to the first student and the first teacher that is able to successfully complete this scavenger hunt. And so that end criteria we'll go over here in a moment. But for now, I wanted to go through the process that you're going to take to complete the scavenger hunt by showing you how you'll go about solving each of the what will be 18 clues over the course of the next week or two. And so around the building, I've hidden many coded messages that don't really have a whole lot of meaning to you right now. They'll look something like you're seeing here on the left. And so these are on colored paper that I've laminated and I've fixed to the walls. And they also always will have this logo telling you that you're in the right spot, or at least that it's a clue that I've put there. So for this process, there are always going to be two steps. You're going to start with this message. Again, doesn't have a whole lot of meaning. This is similar to the DNA messages inside each of your cells. And what I have to first do is transcribe that message into a translatable form. And so I do that by converting every A into a U, every T into an A, C's will become G's, and G's will become C's. And so if I do that process and I work through this entire code, I'm going to leave myself with something that looks very, very similar, but is now translatable. And so it's going to look something like this. Now, I can now use that message along with the chart, this codon chart that I've provided everybody, and I can use that chart to basically translate this message into something that makes sense to me and then will ultimately provide me with a clue to move on. So I'm going to start with this first three-letter. We call these codons, right? These are just three-letter codes that I can use to arrive at something that has meaning. So AUG, for example, if I'm going to read this chart, I always start in the very middle, and then I just basically follow those three letters from the middle out. So I'll go to the A first, then within that quadrant, within that section, I'll go to the U, and then I'll go down to the G as it instructed me to. And that's where I know I've done this correctly, because this says, hey, this is where you start. So that's exactly what I've done. The next three letters I have are A, U, A. I go back to the middle every time, and I start with A, I go down to U, and then I go to A again. And by doing so, I arrive at the first letter that's going to be a part of my next clue, which is a capital letter A. Now, you are going to have access to this document that you see over here on the right. And this is something that you can utilize to keep track of your progress as you go. So I'm going to use it today and show you how you might choose to use it, whether that's the digital copy or a physical copy that we'll have available for you. Either way, this is how you can use this. So I arrived at the very first letter in my code, which was a capital letter A. So for clue number 1, in this first box, I will put the letter A in capital. I'll then go to my next three letters in my transcribed message, and it says GGU. I go back over to my chart and I follow G, G, U, and I see that that leads me to a lowercase letter r. That is now the second letter in my message. I'll type that in, and I'll continue to complete this process where every three letters, so U, U, A, comes next. I start in the middle and follow it out, U, U, A. That will give me a lowercase letter O. And I'll continue this process. I happen to know what letters I should end up with in this case for this example. And I'm going to continue this process until I have messages or words that have meaning. So for example, right now, so far in my message, I've actually spelled a word, and that first word is around. It was only by completing this two-step process that I would have made any sense of this message at all. And your cells work in a very similar way whenever they're making sense of DNA messages to make your proteins. So I do want to pause here real quick to show you one other thing that I don't want to be confusing. So at some point in the messages, you will arrive at something like a 3-letter code that like ACG. And so I'll go back. It's the same process. I follow it out, ACG. And this in this case tells me to skip a space. Okay, so nothing's going to go in this next box. I'm going to skip the same way that I'd leave a space between 2 words in a sentence. Okay, I'll go to the next one, and that is GAU. Process never changes. GAU from the middle out, and that gives me a lowercase letter t. And I'm going to continue that message 1 letter at a time. You're going to get another space if you were to do this. And I'll continue to fill in these translated letters. And whenever I've completed this process, I would end up with my first clue being around the world. And so this first message, this first clue, is going to suggest where I might go in the building to find my next clue. And so in this case, around the world, that might to me say, oh, well, I know that there are a lot of flags from countries from around the world in the front foyer. And so I might go there, and I hope that you do, in order to get the next clue that I can then do the same process and basically get another suggestion for where I might find each successive clue up until I've gotten all of the information I need. Well, what is that information you need? Next to all of these coded messages, at each of these locations, you're going to find a single letter. It'll be very large. And for example, if I go down to the foyer and I find my flags from around the world, next to that coded message that will lead me to my next location, I would see a large letter P. Now, each time you get to a location, what you're going to want to do is add the letter that you get to down here in your letter key. Now, these are not in order currently, but I can, as I go, collect these letters that are going to be necessary for decoding my final hidden message at the end. Okay? So, again, there's going to be a total of 18 of these clues and letters that you have to collect in order to basically unscramble that final message. Now, whenever you get that last 18th letter, we're going to send you to a very specific part of the building that will ultimately give you a very big clue in how to finish unscrambling all these letters. The first student and teacher to come to me, Mr. Jackson, either in the hallway or in my room, which is room 217 up in the science hall, and say this unscrambled message to me, you will be declared the winner. So for the winners, for the student winner, the prize will be a swag bag for Warren Central High School swag, so some apparel in there. Also going to have a big bundle of swag tags, 1 per clue that you solve, so that's going to be really good. And then also the winner, along with 3 friends, up to 3 friends of their choice, will actually earn themselves a free class period of your choice, by which you and those friends will be able to just hang out in a class period of your choice in the library, some time well earned to yourselves. For the first teacher that finishes this challenge and comes and tells me that message, we're going to give you some swag as well for Warren Central, as well as an extra planning period that I will make sure gets covered personally. So, hopefully you found this demonstration video helpful. I want you all to have fun with this process, and if there's anything else that I can do to provide some extra clarification for how you might go about solving these clues, please feel free to come track me down. I am perfectly willing to nerd out at any time over this stuff. So I hope that you find this fun and enjoyable and challenging, and I'll let you get to it. Have fun.